Welcome to the InfoMullet YouTube channel. If you enjoy this content, please like or share. And if you'd like to support the InfoMullet by becoming a mulleteer, visit us on Patreon. We appreciate your support. Will North Korea get, question 6, will North Korea get more involved in the world stage in 2021, specifically in regards to Russia and Japan? So we've actually not heard much from North Korea. It's been a quiet. They got a lot of attention in their first half of Trump's administration. There was a lot of talk of diplomacy. They were doing the bro hug. They were getting together, you know, having little chats and walks. It was like one of those Tinder profiles. But that's all done now, and they haven't talked to each other since 2018. So one reason we're not hurting is North Korea is really hurting from COVID-19. They've never been doing well in terms of government-induced famine, inability to produce enough material goods to serve their own people, simple getting fuel. And what they've done for years is parlay military threats into negotiated deals. And again, this is a diplomatic question. It's complex. I've been very anti-North Korea, and since 2008, I thought we need to handle North Korea. But the diplomats have continued buying off with things, and there hasn't been an issue. But I continue to think that we're entering the risk period, continuing ratcheting up to a point. So first of all, to the forecast. North Korea is not going to be able to do anything in regards to Russia and Japan in 2021. They are hurting so bad right now that they have literally only one card to play. But it's a big card. And so watch for this in 2021. In October, North Korea had a parade, and it was the first parade with ballistic missiles since 2018. You know, they kind of canceled the parades and make Trump happy. Now they did the parades again. It not only debuted the Hwasong 15, that's an ICBM they've tested. That ICBM can reach the United States. Not much. There's certain parts. It's at the end of its arc. They also displayed a new what's called Super Monster ICBM. This thing can carry a 2,000 to 3,000 kilogram warhead by the experts are looking at it. And this thing, if they're anticipating this Super Monster ICBM can reach anywhere in the continental United States and carry a nuclear weapon. So this is the big card they have to play. Now, a huge question, it was just a prop, you know, it was something on a vehicle and you're not there. You can't open it up and see. They don't know if this was a mock-up. They don't know if this was a working prototype. This would be, whenever you see these new ICBMs, what you're looking for is, do they test it to prove its operational efficacy? The Hwasong 15 has been tested several times. And beginning in 2017, I said, look, we're at the brink. If North Korea does 4 to 6 more ICBM tests, they're going to have proven capability to deliver an ICBM in the US, and at that point, we have to strike. My forecast for 2021 is that they're going to do at least 1 to 2 of those 4 to 6 ballistic tests. And if they are successful tests, either the Hwasong 15 or especially this new one, you're going to have a situation where China, the United States, and Russia, as the 3 nuclear power capabilities, are going to say, do we trust the government structure and the transition of powers to control nuclear armed weapons that can hit any one of our countries from North Korea? And that's a real crisis scenario. Now, they may decide to go in and provide lots of bribes and support to keep that from happening. There may be the kind of strike that I've advocated for, which is it's too much to get into tonight. There's a couple articles on the InfoMullet, but it's basically a negotiated agreement between Russia, China, and US with some real politic to basically take North Korea out of this capability and then move in and, you know, kind of the elements of it is you can't go into North Korea without getting China's agreement. The only reason China would agree is if you agreed to have the US leave South Korea afterwards and let South Korea and North Korea deal with the reunification. And therefore, China would get the US out of South Korea. The US would get a diminishment of North Korea's threat off the table. Some grand deal like that. Probably not very likely. But I think the real risk is that this Super Monster ICBM, if it's not just a mock-up done for display purposes, my forecast is 1 to 2 ballistic missiles tests. And if they test this one, watch for a sudden ratchet up in North Korea tensions, because that's an ICBM that, if it tests successfully, can hit anywhere in the United States, which means it can hit most of Canada, and it can deliver a nuclear weapon. Now, contingency is North Korea is doing so bad, they may simply collapse altogether. North Korea has always prioritized government and military construction projects. They prioritize food and fuel. They're not even able to do that anymore. Forests are reclaiming large amounts of land. They can't be farmed. There's no fuel for the tractors. The government priority projects, they're stalled, they're delayed, they're not being finished. There's a lot of signs that the economic woe of North Korea is catching up to it, to the point where they couldn't even finish and do these tests because there's a lot of money spent into that. But that's the forecast for 2021. Yep. Yeah. People are saying the leader dies. There, people. I'm not going to do a forecast on it, but if you ever hear anything about South or North Korea and you want a credible source, the two ones I read for North Korea, if you need it, is 38th Parallel. It's a blog that is intensely focused on North Korea, very accurate, very technical, and releases by the South Korean military, the ROK. Now, you know, the South Korean politicians, they may say this, that, or the other. Someone wants to run in a microphone and say something. But the South Korea military and the intelligence services, when they release something, that tends to be credible on what's going on inside for North Korea. Mike's asking, do you think North Korea will have any cooperation with Russia to cause friction with Japan now that Russia is grabbing more islands to secure the lanes to the Arctic? Russia's in trouble. I don't think Russia has much to offer. Russia's influence has waned in North Korea. In fact, they even came out, if you look a couple weeks ago, Mike, there was North Korea said, hey, we got a vaccine from Russia. We bought it. And Russia said, no, you didn't. And it was really kind of a repudiation. I don't think Russia has much of a plan anymore. Russia is much more concerned about their internal stability, avoiding their own collapse of the elites that we saw that led to the collapse of the Soviet Union, and dealing with Turkey. I don't think Russia has much appetite for something as far-flung as getting involved in North Korea and doing something with Japan. And they haven't shown well until now. Japan isn't necessarily a military threat to Russia, and it's very good that you're talking about these Arctic lanes, because that is something that's going to happen. But Canada's up in there, the US is up in there, Japan's got some plays up there, Russia obviously wants to be in there, but it's going to be hard for Russia to play in all of these spots as a global power when they're really struggling internally. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to follow the InfoMullet, visit us on Facebook or Twitter. And if you'd like notifications when we post new video content, click on the red subscribe button below the video. If you've ever wanted to become a mulleteer and support the InfoMullet, visit us on Patreon. We appreciate the support.